Out of my head, under my bed, thinking something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted. You've been gifted with the evil voodoo. Got me coming back for more, even when I've been screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head. I like you in my bed, but you keep me on red. Oh, everything is like a test. I better not text or I'll come off desperate.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby, you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed, thinking something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
So if I play
Hello, 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 and welcome to Dear Dana. How is everybody doing today? Tonight. It's getting dark sooner, and it's a Wednesday night. Happy hump day to everyone, and you in the bushes as well. Tonight we are talking about coping with anxiety. It's the number one thing that people coping with mental health come to get help about. Many do not. And I'm wondering how many people are dealing with anxiety. How many of you have dealt with anxiety and kept a tight lip about? Hi, Marie Crum. Hello, Shelly Marie. Hey in the bushes. I appreciate you always. Anxiety is a bummer. Anxiety, so many people deal with it and are afraid to talk about it. They're afraid to talk about it. Ashamed to talk about it, even. It creeps up on you. People deal with it under, typical circumstances. Some of the most typical circumstances are work stress, job change, pregnancy, birth, family relationships, of course, love relationships, shock because of emotional trauma. Any phase of any kind that comes with emotional trauma or shock. Death or loss. Divorce, of course. Anxiety can hit you under unexpected circumstance. Anxiety can hit you out of the blue. I used to have test anxiety, performance anxiety. Hey, these are my other kids walking out of here. Come say hey. Don't want to say hey? This is Casey.
Hey.
Listen to that radio voice he's got. This is Amanda. I put him on the spot. They're going to run out of here. And everybody knows my Eden. She didn't even say hello. But everybody gets anxiety at one time or the other. Everybody gets it. 30 to 65% of people that seek help for mental health is anxiety. That's the truth. Anxiety, it has been found through genetics, can be inherited. And it's primarily through the mother. Not that we're blaming moms, but it can be inherited. And it can, go around in families. I know for a fact that my whole family, my brothers and I and my mom, hello, unapologetically Romeo. If anyone hasn't checked out his channel, please do. Please go over there and give him some love and check out his videos. Um, I digress. My brothers and I and my mom and everybody practically on her side of the family have anxiety and have dealt with anxiety. Here I am in the field of psychotherapy. I struggled with anxiety for a long time. I'm talking white knuckling anxiety, particularly when I was younger. White knuckling anxiety. And when I did not understand it more effectively and I would try to fight it, the worst thing you can do is try to fight anxiety. The more you fight anxiety, the more it exacerbates it to the point often of panic attacks. You might not know that. The more you fight it, the more it will exacerbate it to the point of panic attacks, where you break out in a sweat, often a cold sweat, feel like you're blacking out, your heart palpitates. Some people may feel like they're having a heart attack. Some people may black out. Yeah, unapologetically, Ramel says. Yes, so much of our sad, bad, good things is from generations. Yes. And what some of you don't understand or might not know is, did you know that in our cells can carry memories from generations that we may not cognitively or consciously remember? But our cells can carry memories from generations on back. And we might react to certain things and not know why, or respond to things in some erratic way and not know why. So we can respond to things from generations back. Maybe have an irrational fear that we don't understand. It's true. Or the irrational fear can even be from something from when we're small, tiny. Do you know that as far back as 6 months old can have anxiety? 6-month-olds can have anxiety. People think, oh, they're babies. They're not going to have anxiety. Oh, yes, they are. 6-month-olds. So it's very important. Not only may they genetically have anxiety, they may gain anxiety environmentally from what's going on around them. So it's important that we are sensitive to what's going on around infants, babies. And a lot of people don't take time to pay attention to what's going on around small children. They think, they're too young to remember. Something in that child does remember and make them hypersensitive to things, may make them emotionally anxious to things. So it's so important that we as adults, we as parents, not only deal with our own stuff, but be very careful about the environment we raise our children in. Be careful of the environments we put our children in. But it is hereditary. It definitely affects 30% of adults around the world, for sure. Speaking of on a chronic basis, on a chronic everyday basis, it's the most common mental health disorder. A lot of people might not recognize it. They might not want to admit it. especially men. No shade on men. No shade on you, men. It, we're still dealing with a lot of taboo. We are. I feel like, and a lot of the reason why I'm putting a spotlight on mental health in Hollywood, I am hoping that the more I do that, that the more general population might not feel so cautious about saying, hey, I'm dealing with this too. If they can come forward, I can too. I mean, for instance, I don't know how many people know that Mariah Carey is bipolar, among other things. And a lot of people are like, I don't like Mariah Carey anymore. She's this and that and the other. But Mariah Carey is, thank you for coming by unapologetic. Say it right, Dana. Unapologetically Romel. Sometimes if I can't say the words right, I can sing it right. Thank you for coming by. But a lot of people did not like how Mariah Carey's behaviors and attitude had gotten. But she was dealing with bipolar disorder and had refused to get it treated until the last few years. Adele came forward and had admitted that she was dealing with chronic anxiety and depression. And now she's dealing with it and getting therapy and getting it treated. Feels so much better. There is no shame in freeing yourself and not shutting down and not making it a taboo and being transparent about it and working on it. You feel so much better. Look, when I finally said, look, I am dealing with this, I needed help in my early 20s, and I quit fighting it. Again, fighting it was the worst thing I could do. The more I fought it, the worse it got. One of the things that you can do is when you feel the wave of anxiety come on, face it. Look at it. A lot of time, anxiety is brought on, or fear is a component of it. Fear of the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? Right? The worst case scenarios, the catastrophizing, the catastrophe of this and that and the other. Right? I did that too, and it made it so much worse. Yes, yes, yes. When we look at the catastrophes of things, or what if I could have done that better? Or had I done this? It's either catastrophizing about the future, or could I have done this better? It's pushing to the foreground or the background, and not so much about the moment. If you can pull yourself into the moment, it allows you to breathe. The catastrophizing about the future and the back is what pulls you out of your body almost. Anxiety pulls you out of your body. You do feel like you're out of your body. How many have ever felt like that? It makes you feel, anxiety makes you feel out of control. And you get all of these physical symptoms. It brings on physical symptoms. You can't breathe, sweaty palms, head spinning, until it gets into the really bad symptoms that panic attacks can cause. Now, if it comes out of control, when it goes on and on and on and on, and people don't find a way to cope or get treatment, it can turn into a disability like OCD, panic disorder, phobias, fear of things, certain things, to where it's a lifelong disability where you can't function normally in your life. Nobody wants that. When it becomes so chronic that it literally takes over your life. No one wants that. Where it spins out of control. And that's part of where mental health needs to be put in the forefront because it does become a taboo. We as a society have allowed it to become something people don't speak of. We have allowed it to become something of shame, which is ridiculous. Where, oh, it's your brain? You must be cray-cray. You must be out of control. Which is so far from the truth. Highly intelligent people often deal with mental health issues because they, especially anxiety, because they analyze and they overthink, right? Very analytical, very focused on every detail of what could happen. Very focused. Keeping their brain busy about everything, every nuance. So, what I want you to think about is if everything's going right and people are happy, they're often waiting for the other shoe to fall. Everything can't be so good. It can't be so good. Something's bound to happen in a minute. It's bound to happen in a minute. So that's a whole nother form of anxiety. But here are some things that can help you. I know I beat the breathing techniques into the ground. But when you think about it, when you have anxiety, your cortisol spikes. Your cortisol spikes. And that's the hormone in your body that spikes when you have fight or flight. Back in the caveman days, you might have had a dinosaur chasing your butt. So you needed that cortisol so you could run faster to get away. But we don't have dinosaurs now. Everything that we're afraid of typically, unless we're in a car chase or someone's chasing us down an alley, is something that's remote, right? That we're having to think about, typically. So we're not having to run for our life. So that cortisol goes off and our heart races. Our heart races, our blood pressure goes up, and our adrenaline spiking. So when we have anxiety, the cortisol pumps and the heart rate goes up and the adrenaline spiking and our blood pressure's going off. And all of this action is going on in our body. But we're not having to run from anything. So we need to find a way to calm all of this down. So how can you calm all of it down? How can you calm all of it down? Well, if you're driving a car, breathe. That's where the conscious breathing comes in. You're driving a car. You want to breathe. Inhale to the count of 4 through your nose. See, I'm beating it again. I'm beating it like a tire. Breathe in through your nose to the count of 4. Hold it to the count of 4. Breathe out through your mouth to the count of 4. You're still driving. Inhale to the count of 4 through your nose. Hold it. You're still driving. Breathe out through your mouth to the count of 4. As you're doing this, you can't close your eyes. You're still driving, but you can breathe. What occurs is your cortisol begins lowering. Your heart rate begins lowering. Your adrenaline begins calming down. And your blood pressure begins calming down. And you'll find that your anxiety begins lowering. Just from doing the conscious breathing, you'll feel everything start to calm down. Okay? Hey, JC Bear, as it calms down, find a radio station with some calm music. Okay? Calm music that you like. You're still driving and do the conscious breathing. You can begin to nip that anxiety in the bud. Just listen to the music. And you've calmed that anxiety down. This is what you do for driving. Okay? But if you're home, you can also do the breathing techniques. Aromatherapy. Go outdoors. Put your feet on the grass unless it's snowing. Yoga, meditation, exercise. Go get a massage. Not a happy ending. A real massage. Deep tissue in your back. It will relax you. Go get a real massage. Journaling, vitamin D, relaxing music, turmeric, omega fatty acids, probiotics for gut health, because that's your second brain. People don't understand that balancing your gut also helps. And don't forget, talk to your doctor. If you have to, you can get on anti anxiety medication. I'm not opposed to Western medicine and anti anxiety medication. I'm not. But I do feel like it is imperative to incorporate these other things too. I don't think everybody has to get on medication as a first call for anxiety. I do think that you can battle anxiety. Some people might have it lifelong. Some people it's situational. Some people might have to deal with it circumstantially and it will come and go. Kind of flow like the ocean. I know I'm going to have to deal with it here and there the rest of my life, but it's not like it ever was before. I'm going to welcome JC Bear up.
Hello, everyone. Big Bear Hugs. Long time no see.
I know, I'm so happy to see you. How have you been?
Crazy with work.
I can,
Absolutely nuts with work. But and when you said how to cope with anxiety, I was thinking about it while I was making my coffee before I came over to come on, and I'm like, there are so many different situations in which, hey, Virginia Wolf,
hey,
there's so
Virginia.
many there's so many different situations where anxiety can hit you.
Yeah,
And when you were talking about if it hits you when you're driving, and this happened to me twice in my life, where
that's bad.
I thought I was having a heart attack, and this was years ago. I'm talking about like in my 30s,
Yeah, and that's when
so
it says you
maybe only
panic.
a couple of years ago, right? And first thing I did was I pulled over and stopped because I thought, oh my god, if I lose control, I'm going to hurt somebody else.
Yeah,
And then I basically started doing what you were talking about, controlling my breathing. I put it on to a music channel because I was listening to the news channel,
yeah,
stuff like that. So it, like, I mean, when people are watching this, it can happen to anybody.
yeah,
Don't think anybody is immune from it. And it can really just, it hits you and it's kind of like, oh my God, what do I do? It's like, okay, like control my breathing. I pounded my chest, like with my fist a couple of times just to kind of like, okay, like stop it, like telling myself it's like, you know what? whatever it is, whatever is causing this, and eventually you figure out what's causing it. Not necessarily right in the moment. That's the worst part, is right in the moment. But and I figured it out like a couple of days later what brought it on and everything. But yeah, I think it's a lot of times it's situational. It could be if you're dealing with, you know, a decision that's coming down about you, be it medical, be it relationships, be it so forth, it can bring out that anxiety.
Yeah.
I found when I'm in a boardroom or in front of people and I have to do like the presentation or so forth, like the whole public speaking thing,
Yeah.
you get that whole, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And what I realized is that, especially in that type of situation, is that these people have no idea what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So why am I getting all worked up? These people have no idea what I'm going to say, what material I'm going to present, stuff like this. And I always prefix it with, if I'm stuck, it's like, sorry, got a brain freeze. I'll have to come back
Yeah.
to that point because, there are different things that you can get stuck on or pulled away on. But yeah, I mean, like when it comes to like family anxiety, whether it's a good family, bad family, stuff like that, everybody has to try and find their own way to kind of like work through it.
Yeah.
But when it comes, I find it really strange. Just like I used to worry about something that I would find out in a day or two. For students, it could be their final marks
Yeah.
and they're worrying about it. And I'm like, you know what? If I didn't give my 100% of that exam, yeah, I'd be worried. So what am I worrying about? If I screw it up and I fail, I'll just take it again. No one died. No one was harmed except for my own stupidity. So why am I getting all worked up about it,
I would have anxiety in grad school during the exam because I would put the pressure on myself that I had to make an A, first of all, and it had to be a high mark A because
Like you were one of those 96ers, 96% and above.
I had a 4.0
Oh, how
and I
dare you?
didn't want it damaged.
Yeah.
It's like I had something to prove, and I had something to prove to my family, and I was like stressed immensely because I had I don't know if you call it a learning disability or what, but I could not study the night before and remember things. I had to learn all of it to retain it. I couldn't cram like the other students and just know it.
Like
You could,
temporary storage and then get rid of it. Yeah.
I mean, I literally had to learn it. So I had to study twice as hard as other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it was like high stress for me all the time.
Yeah. Sometimes our own goals are our undoing.
Yes. Yes,
And,
yes,
that,
yes.
and I think that's what I mean, there's nothing wrong with having lofty goals, but if it's going to cause you so much stress that it starts bringing on severe anxiety, is attaining that goal really worth it? Like, I mean, there's a cost to it, not only to yourself, but if you're in a relationship, there's a cost that you bring into that relationship as well. When you put that amount of pressure and that amount of items in on yourself, and there's a cost, like when you have a family, there's a cost to the time you spend with your kids, the time you spend with your partner, time you spend with your friends. Like, yes, anxiety affects you individually and it can physically really damage you, but you're losing a lot of the other items that could be actually de-stressing you. Like
Yeah.
going out with your partner for that evening for a couple of hours for a walk in the park, or maybe just ice cream. Or for me, a nice cappuccino at a bistro, people watching. Um, Maybe just going out to the backyard and pushing your kids on the swing,
Yeah. At the
for a
time I
half
didn't
hour.
at the time I didn't have kids, but when I was going through that part of it, but I had something to prove. I was my own worst enemy for sure. For sure.
Oh
It was
yeah,
just
but it can actually take a toll. It's like, some of my friends saying, well, you're working too much. I said, yeah, but I mean, right now it's the project, and projects come to an end.
yeah.
So I know that there's an end in sight. Now it may be till mid next year, but it's not like I'm the only one on the project that's going through this. But it's important, especially like if you're working from home and stuff like that, to look at the time and go, you know what? I gave them an extra 45 minutes of my personal time. It's time to log off.
Yeah. You know
It's
that
time
attack
to shut off the news, right? That type of thing.
the attack you had in your car, it verged on a panic attack. Really.
Yeah, yeah. Like literally, I felt like if I couldn't get myself calmed down, I would just be swearing that I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah. I had the same thing and I thought I was having a heart attack. And that's when I was divorced single mom with Noah, alone, far out from the hospital. And I literally had someone take me to the hospital because I thought I'm having a heart attack because it felt like a heart attack. And I
Hmm.
thought, I'm going to die because it had gotten so severe that I couldn't breathe. The pain in my chest was just excruciating. I was at home and I thought, I'm by myself with him out here. I'm going to die with this baby and no one's going to find me. But
Yep.
he was on monitors and stuff, and they took me to the hospital and checked me out, and they couldn't find the heart attack enzymes, and it wasn't a heart attack. And I was like, at that time, I was like, okay, I don't understand what just happened. Yeah,
Yep. Yep. And that's also the important part of when you have relationships. There are people that are toxic for you, and that also would trigger or initiate like an anxiety out of yourself. So I mean, it's really important to actually look at if you're suffering with them repeatedly, is to look around and see who is actually in your life that has influence on you.
yeah,
That may be bringing it, or maybe causing that to occur for yourself. And then I know it sounds all really highfalutin and all that, but really evaluate who's bringing some value into your life.
yeah,
Like, are they bringing you laughter? I'm not talking about, oh, they have to be the love of your life or anything like that. But do you enjoy their company? Do they make you laugh, or is this person here because you love having intellectual conversations? And there's nothing wrong with a little bit of eye candy to help, when you want to go out dancing or stuff like that. Just saying, or maybe playing Chase Me in the Kitchen, Virginia Woolf. And he knows I'm always going to tease him about him and his wife. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's something as you get older, I think you really evaluate more on who's actually part of your life and who's actually bringing that value. I'm using a business term of value add, but if you look at it this way, if every time, let's say if I was down where you are, I say, Dana, come on, let's go out for coffee. And if every time we went out for coffee, everything was always, when you left, if you felt worse going home
yes,
than coming out,
yeah,
then it's kind of like, what exactly am I bringing to your life?
exactly.
But if you're going home saying, oh yeah, that bear is an absolute nut, and laughing, well, you know what? Then we had a good time out.
I mean, it makes a point. You make an excellent point. When you spend time with people and you just feel lifted up, like you said, when you're spending time with them, they are adding that essence, resonating higher with you. You just
Exactly.
filling your cup up. You're making the point of if they're filling your cup up with light.
Yeah. And it's just, and sometimes, I mean, I took some of your advice on some of your earlier shows when some of my friends have gone through are going through depression and so forth, and they've texted me, and I go, I'm not going to give you the rah 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 speech. You have to recognize your own, you know, all the pluses in your own life. But I'm here if you want to vent, and I'm here when you want to go out for a movie, and you do it on your own time. Now, these are adults that
Yeah,
I'm talking about. I'm not talking about kids. You have to take a
yeah,
different tact when it's younger folks, and they may
yeah.
not have the tools. But these are people who have gone through therapy. They know they go through bouts of depression, and I just go, I haven't heard from you. They go, well, I'm going through my downtime. I'm like, okay,
Gotcha.
you reach out when you want, and we'll get together when you want, and you just let me know. As
Good.
opposed to, pushing, well, why are you depressed, or why is this? Now, if it's I don't want to use the term superficial,
Yeah,
because I know bouts of depression are more than just the surface level items. Like, yeah, I have friends, and I've been there too. You're out of work, you're trying to get a job, you haven't found one, and it's going on month 4, and things are getting tight, and they're down, but they're not depressed.
yeah,
That's a little different than when I'm talking about bouts of depression when they're in that real down low cycle.
yeah.
You would understand it as a therapist. I don't have the right words to say it.
Well, it's like with somebody's bipolar, and it's
Yeah. And I just go, just, let me know. And I'm here. I'm only a text away. Because some of these people are from through YouTube and all that. They're all over the world.
yeah.
It's just not. It's not just here. But getting back to anxiety, we went off the path again. You always do this to me, Dana. Always.
Me?
It's not me. I'm an innocent bear. Innocent bear, I'd like to
But
say.
I wanted people to understand too. They think sometimes if you're a psychologist, psychiatrist, psychotherapist, whatever, that you have never experienced all of this. Oh yeah, you have. Oh
Well, yeah,
yeah,
you're
you
still a
have.
human.
I mean, like I said, in my early 20s, it was bad, 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 and I had to go through my own processes. And when I was dealing with some of that stuff, I would not see clients. It's like,
Mhm.
doctor, heal thyself.
Yeah, I can believe it.
I needed to heal what was going on with me and then see clients when
Yeah,
it was going on in a bad way. Because I didn't want to be all janked up. You know what I mean?
hmm
So I did the healing that I had to do and then went back and saw clients. But here's the thing, if you've gone through stuff, you can relate more to what people are going through.
True.
And, and I can say with a whole heart that it's not that I never have anxiety now, but I have the tools when it occurs, and it's more appropriate anxiety than what I
Yes.
experienced then. Because there
Yep.
would be moments then that I would be hell bent to even drive a car sometimes because of what you said, having an occurrence while I was in a car
hmm And that
until
would,
I learned what was going on.
yeah, I mean, I thought, oh my God, I got to pull over. And once I got the car over to the side of the road and, in park, and then I can concentrate on what's happening with me, because when you're driving, you got pedestrians, you got the car beside you, the guy behind you, the one that may be pulling out. So with so many things going on, I had to get myself over to the side of the road and then just concentrate on me, because then at least I knew I was safe
Yeah.
from the outer elements, and then just concentrate on going, okay, what the heck's happening to me, and how do I get this under control?
And what are the triggers? What's the trigger? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't figure it out till a few days later that it was a combination of working full time and working part-time job, and still keeping up my social schedule, and still keeping up this, and trying to please everybody. And then I ended up taking it out on, well, it took it out on myself, and said, you got to stop. And the anxiety was like, okay, you got to decide, like, if you're going to be working a full-time job and a part-time job, there's no way that you can still be doing all of the things that you do in your late 20s and early 30s and all that stuff. So you have to make a decision on really allowing time for yourself to have fun and allowing
Yeah.
time for yourself to do it. That's was my situation back then. So I kind of like, but when you're young and you want to, be able to put away some money, maybe, have enough for the house, make a little extra for vacation, and do this and this and this. You think you can do it all, and then life will eventually tell you, no, you can't.
Yeah. Sometimes it is you're working too much and you're drinking too much caffeine and maybe you're
Not my
partying.
coffee, not my
Yeah.
coffee. You can't have my cappuccino, no.
And you're not getting enough sleep and maybe you're partying and you're doing all these things and your body's saying, "Hey, wait a minute."
And you ignore it.
Yeah.
And then it comes back and you ignore it. And then you ignore it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to make you listen.
And
go ahead.
it's in your DNA.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, do you have other family members that have anxiety?
I've never asked them. At different points, we all have anxiety, depending on what the situation that we're facing.
Yeah.
Be it, the huge wedding that you're either participating in, or you're a guest, or some people hate large crowds. And the hardest part is if you're going and it's the family members that you really don't want to socialize with.
Yeah.
That's the hardest one, because you can't escape them, especially in winter, because they'll corner you in the kitchen. Even if you're saying, I'll help with the dishes. Oh, no, we have a dishwasher. Well, maybe I'll take out the garbage for you. Oh, no, don't worry. I'm like, okay, I just want to leave for a little while to get,
Or it's a close, judgy relative.
Oh, yes, the ones with the little you can tell by the look that they're giving you. They're like, I used to love them, because as I got older, I learned to master a very elitist look back at them and go, really? So what have you been doing? Is that all? Oh my God. Like, and then you get into a little like banter of words back and forth. Yeah, throwing some shade never hurts, right?
Unless they gave birth to you.
Yeah, that's a little different. That's a little bit closer family members.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It
Mm.
makes it difficult.
And
What are you
sometimes,
going to do?
yeah, you just have to find a way of taking whatever they have and letting it roll off your back, at least in front of them. Then you come home and you can either take it out on a nice good pint of your favorite ice cream, or do some exercises.
I would have to do both because otherwise I'd be 1,000 pounds.
Well, I'd want to do both. That way, if I exercise first, then I can treat myself to the ice cream.
Because my weakness is vanilla bean ice cream.
Mm,
Mm,
gelato.
Here we go back to food, and I di- I digress. I made homemade butter last night,
You
garlic butter,
did? Oh, cruel.
and then I cheated and I put it on my I have that vibrator plate that I get on for my bones and stuff.
Hmm.
So I put the container that I was making the butter with on the vibration plate
So
and
that it would automatically mixed.
I cranked it up after I got tired of shaking it.
Oh my God. And how did it
It,
turn out?
it turned out great.
On a toasted baguette?
I tried it and I made my husband, he was afraid to try it. He goes, ooh, it tastes like butter. That's, it's butter.
Oh my God. And you guys, I'm sure there were people that had anxiety over last night in the US.
Yeah.
The big midterms and all that coming through.
Yeah. And I didn't like either of the people to vote for.
Oh, you mean in Georgia
Yeah. I have to be honest.
for senator?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough when you only have like a two-party system.
That gave me anxiety. I'm going to have to,
And you may have to do it again in December from what I'm hearing.
yeah. We need three choices. Oh, I do have to say this. My student that I have talked about often, whose mother has signed her up numerous times, the one that wouldn't step out of her house, and then she also had a lady try to kidnap her off the streets.
Oh wow.
Um, so she didn't step out of her house because of the pandemic, and when she did, a lady tried to kidnap her off the street, and now she's stepping. I've told the story before. Now she's getting out of the house, going to the parks, going to the beach, has met another young man, age 15. She's doing well. And it was supposed to be a communication class.
Oh wow. Well, I guess you communicated correctly.
It turned in a therapeutic communication class. So it's on a platform called OutSchool, and I only charge $11, and OutSchool gets 30% of it. But I created a class for communication for teenagers. But I get a lot of students, and it ended up being a class of communication, but it's turned into a class that I've molded to each individual student's needs. But they all end up coming in there with some form of emotional need.
Mm,
So I'm very proud of her, but I digress. She's been very nervous about speaking in front of her class,
especially at that age. Yeah.
whether it be online or in person. So I suggested she come up with an alter ego. So she came up with an alter ego. I think the lady's name was Meredith, and it was a doctor show. So
Oh
she
wow.
chose an alter ego from a medical show. And I forgot who the actress is. She had
Sounds like
Aubrey.
from Grey's Anatomy.
Yes, that
That's
one.
the only Meredith. That's the only Meredith on a medical show I know is Grey's
Okay.
Anatomy.
Okay. So she used her as an alter ego. And
Oh
she's been
wow.
able to speak as her in front of her class. Now she uses her own name,
Hmm.
but she's taken on that persona.
Oh wow. I never
And
thought of using that technique.
so when she takes on her persona, when she's herself, she kind of stumbles a little bit. When she takes on that persona, she speaks clearly, doesn't stumble. Her whole body confidence is totally different. And it's amazing.
Oh
Com-
wow.
I mean, it's almost like day and night.
Uh oh.
Yeah. When we talk, she has a habit of saying, I'm sorry, a lot. And I'm trying to break her of that. When she takes on the persona of Meredith, just that she never says it. It's just so slick.
Well, yeah.
And I got
Well, Also, I guess being a doctor, you would think of it as more of an authority position.
Yeah, but it's working for her. And at some point, I feel like it'll just kind of turn
Merge.
her, yeah, merge and turn her confidence into hers because that's what Beyonce does.
She has an alternate
Yeah,
person. True. As a performer, what you see on stage is not necessarily who they are behind the scenes.
yeah. I forgot. I don't know if anybody's still watching, but I'm assuming you are just listening. Beyonce's alter ego. I wish I could remember what she calls her. I'll look it up really quick. I remembered it the other day, but you know how that goes. Alter ego name Sasha Fierce.
Oh my God.
Her alter ego is Sasha Fierce. So when she would go on stage, she would use the alter ego Sasha Fierce and be able to go on there and not be shy.
Oh
Yep.
wow.
So I use that technique with the shy students to have an alter ego. Well, think of Superman and Clark Kent.
Yes, that's true. Very different uh, ways of doing things, but the same person, depending on the situation.
Yeah. And I mean, Spider Man, his human person, they don't have a different, well, they do have a different name, but you get my drift.
Hmm.
They
Oh
aren't
yeah.
quite the same. So if you can kind of have an alter ego when you're feeling anxiety, that can help too,
True.
but only in certain circumstances. Maybe when you're having a first date or speaking before people, things like that.
Oh, definitely.
So
Definitely.
depends on what kind of anxiety you're dealing with.
Yeah, and what situation? It's like well, for you guys, the upcoming Thanksgiving holidays in a few weeks.
I'm going to
I'm sure,
address that.
yeah, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of families with, there's going to be dread or anxiety with the approaching holidays. Um, there's different situations when you're dealing with, the passing of a family member. That brings on a whole different set of anxieties on how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, and for the individual, it could be, anything from crowds, even if it's a small crowd, if they're strangers. Um, Saying is not good. I took Toastmasters and I shouldn't be doing but I'm relaxing and it's after work, so I can say
Maybe when we want to go,
Yeah. Also, meeting new people can cause a lot of anxiety. That's a common. It's always good with, what's your favorite type of dessert? Are you a savory or a sweet?
who,
You know,
me?
no, no, no. But that's usually what I do when I'm meeting like a new employee to our group, or if I'm meeting someone new and I'm out and it's in a large crowd. It's like, so what type of desserts do you like? Are you more on the sweet side? Are you more on the savory? It's kind of like an icebreaker, something in common. Everybody has to have food in some way, shape, or form. To kind of like break down those kind of initial barriers. That's usually how I kind of break the ice, especially in the workplace when I'm meeting somebody new, because that's more of a formal setting. So you really can't do anything super personal, but you can disarm people from having their guards up if they're like, "Oh, yeah, he loves his desserts. Yeah, he likes this," and it's like, and then I remember, "Oh yeah, you're a savory type, so you like this, and this." And it's kind of like one of those icebreakers that can reduce their anxiety, which means it reduces my anxiety,
Oh, yeah,
especially
that's a
when
good
meeting
point.
somebody new, because they're coming into a whole new dynamic that you've been a part of. So those are just little things that I do to just, put them at ease, which means I can be more at ease. I don't have to be as formal.
Yeah.
with them because that can sometimes be a hindrance on how you can address or talk to somebody. I'm just trying to think of some other things that I kind of do to either disarm or to, just bring it down to a level. It's like, okay, now let's talk about the real issue. Like when we're at work and we're working on a problem or something like that. A couple of minutes of a little bit of laughter, a couple of minutes of just, how are things, I hope your weekend was great. Some of them are a lot younger than me. So I'm like, you better have stayed out of trouble or not got caught, like just little things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so what can we do to get this accomplished? And especially it's like, I always try, even though sometimes I may have the answer in my head, I would say, so how do you think we should tackle this? Because I'm looking at it this way. Can you kind of play devil's advocate and throw something at it? And I find when people are asked for their opinion, they're asked to feel included in
Yeah.
it, they'll offer it up and I'll go, so what do you think about this? And then you banter it back and forth. And then you usually come up with something a little better than what you originally had thought.
Yeah. I love it when people give new ideas. I also love it if, especially, and I do want to do a holidays segment of anxiety and stress, but I love it if you can invite one person that you know is funny
Oh, yeah.
that can break all that kind of stress up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because then, you got different conversations happening for different reasons. It doesn't always have to be about food. Sometimes I'll ask. I found what was really interesting, and I never really thought it would impact somebody. But I met a new person in our office when I was on site a couple of months ago. And I had turned around to them and said, oh, so what culture were you raised in? And they go, what do you mean? I said, well, what culture were you raised in? And they went, oh, well, I'm Indian. I said, oh, that's cool. And they go, can I ask you something? They go, why did you say culture? I said, well, you could have been born in Saskatchewan in an Indian family, or you could have been born in London, England.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that, you were born in India. So it doesn't matter where you're born. It matters what culture you're raised in.
Yeah. I'll
So it
get
doesn't matter.
people.
Yeah, it's not where you're from. It's where you raised in an Indian culture. I was raised in a mixed Italian Scottish culture where you had the munja cakes and the Italians. But I was born in Canada.
I'll get
So
somebody to go, look at me. I had like a friend, Mikey, when I was training him. He goes, so what are you? And I said, what do you mean? What am I?
oh my God.
Because my hair is so different and everything. When you see it in person, what are you? I was
And
like,
how did you respond?
I said, I don't understand what you mean. What am I? So we had that little bit of conversation.
Oh my God.
I said,
I
Mikey, there are different ways to say that.
yeah. I mean, because this is the thing, and I also have to remember that I'm the first generation of an immigrant that's off the boat, which has its own set of anxieties when you're moving to somewhere new. And this person came back and actually thanked me because my question wasn't, where are you from? It
Yeah.
was, what culture were you raised in? Because when you actually take into account nowadays, and this is where newcomers to Canada and the US and so forth, you can really help reduce their anxiety and perception of where they've moved to is not where you're from, but basically what culture were you raised in, or what
Yeah.
cultural background are you coming from? Because you're here now,
Yeah.
and for people who, like I said, my dad came off the boat in the early 50s. It's a very different type of anxiety when it's excitement, but it's also anxiety when you're coming to a new place where you may only speak a few words and you may only have limited amount of funds and so forth. So it really gives them, and this is what I got from this person, is that it gives them a sense of belonging,
Yeah.
which, and I never really realized that. It was just that, you know what, we are really only one race. The only really thing that we're changing is the culture that we were raised in. What were our cultural norms being brought up? What was our cultural background, depending on where we were living? But we all have the same DNA. There's really no difference DNA wise between you and me. Chromosome wise, yes, because you're a biological female, I'm a biological male. But I can give you my blood, you can give me yours. As long as it's not the high end ones like the AB pluses, AB positive, AB negatives, you got to be careful with stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so then basically, it's basically in the cultures that we're being raised in.
Yeah. I'm O
That makes
positive.
us. So am I.
So we know if we ever need each other.
Yeah, I can come down and give you a pint. It's not a problem. Mind you, you'll probably get a whole shot of caffeine and my blood in you, so that'll wake you up from wherever you are.
Yeah, because we can't. It's hard for us to. O positive can only get O positive, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's good to know, JC Bear.
Mm,
We can help each
I'm
other
a
out.
donor. No.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, so I think when you're talking about, well, I really thought about this when I seen your title about anxiety, and it can differ for so many people depending on what point of life they're in
Yeah.
and where they are. So
Oh,
it was just an interesting question. Go ahead.
I have to tell you something else that used to help me. I would put a rubber band on my arm, and if I would feel it build, I would pop myself,
Oh wow. I
just
thought
sort
that
of
was only
snap
I thought
out of it.
Yeah, I thought that was only used to try to break bad habits.
No, you can use it to if you feel anxiety, like unnecessary anxiety, like out of the blue start building, because sometimes that can occur, especially when you're trying to control it. You can pop a rubber band, just sort of
Snap you out
shock,
of it?
snap you out of it, shock it out of your body. Just
Oh
stop
wow.
the buildup. Because a lot of times, if you're trying to stop the pattern of it, you can feel the buildup start to rise. And you can do things like pop a rubber band. Also, there's cognitive behavioral therapy, where you can notice the rise of anxiety and see some of the triggers and change some of the behaviors that bring it on, or recognize the behaviors that bring it on, and try to shift the thoughts to
Uh,
something else.
Interesting.
It's sort of like change the story.
True, but you'd have to practice it.
Yeah,
Like
that's the
yeah,
whole point.
like yeah,
Point.
it's not yeah. You would have to practice that as long as you can recognize when that anxiety is starting to build.
Yeah, that's why it's called cognitive behavioral therapy. You do have to work on it with a therapist to learn
So
how to change how the body responds to it as well.
so have you used that treatment with any of your patients?
Yeah,
So how long on average have you found it actually starting to take effect for, like,
6 months.
of consistent using, like, the rubber band?
Oh, the rubber band's separate. I was talking
Yeah.
about cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay, I thought the rubber band was part of the cognitive behavior therapy.
No, that's just something I did.
Oh, okay. So
That's
how
just
long
something
was it before you found that it was actually
um
effective for you?
for
Like
the
a couple
rubber
of
band
weeks?
was no, probably 3 months. Hey, Mark Kropka.
Hey, Mark.
I probably did it for about 3 months so I could it was just quick and easy for me because if I was in the car If I, you know what I mean? If I felt it coming on,
Hmm.
it was just like a trigger that it was like a receptor trigger for me to the brain.
To go, oh, okay, you know this is happening, and you know what you have to do to kind of head it off, or
And it would help me notice the triggers. You see what I'm saying?
yep.
It was like a behavioral trigger. So I would do that because I felt it coming on. I could pay attention to the trigger because I felt the physical pop, that kind of thing. And if I was in the car, particularly pop, because I would do it hard.
I'm surprised you didn't get a slight bruise around the wrist.
Oh, yeah. Bruise, red marks, things like that. Because, yeah, I want it to feel the pain.
Well, you have a safe drive, Shelly Marie.
Be careful, girl. But yeah, sometimes you have to do what works for you. But
True.
and if you have to go to therapy, please go to therapy. If you have to have medication, there are medications out there. Try not to do anything addictive. Go see your doctor and they may have to tweak it for anxiety. But I also do recommend all the alternative things as well. Please do the alternative things. Don't go, oh, that's not going to work before you try them.
Well, yeah, because if you're doing the alternative ones, then it can also lower the dosage of any medication that you're on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're finding that whatever you're doing is not alleviating the onset of the anxiety or any of the techniques, then yeah, it's best to seek a professional that you can get along with. And that means it may take you a couple of times with different therapists to find ones that you feel comfortable enough to build a rapport with. And when you do, then pursue whatever treatments they feel and it may just be a lower dosage medication along with the natural techniques that can help you either squelch it or at least keep it under control for
And
a
you know,
long.
I love weights. I love boxing. I used to pretend like it was somebody's face if I was upset.
Mm, that was the one thing good about volleyball. You can always serve or smash the ball and pretend it was the person that did you wrong, or whatever issue it is that's coming at you. You can smash it down.
Yeah. I mean, whatever you feel you physically can do, anybody can do weights, even if it's a 3 pound weight,
Hmm.
or kick
But
something or hit something. I mean,
yeah, but still, chucking a 3 pound weight can still do some damage at somebody. So when you're exercising, do you find that your family doesn't join you? No.
yeah, typically they don't. But if you get that feel good hormone release from
Hmm.
anything you're capable of doing, once that hormone's released, it does help lots.
True. That's why runners love running to get that high,
Yeah. So just saying,
or cycling, or
it
whatever.
takes a couple of weeks for it to become a habit, and then your body begins to crave it.
True. Then people clear out of the exercise room in case mom's throwing a 3 pound weight at them.
No, I don't ever throw. I don't ever throw weights. No, 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 no.
I think there. I'm thinking there I am. I'm seeing you doing the arm curls, and you're like, you know what? I'm really pissed off today. Boom! It's kind of like your poor hubby. We got a hole in the drywall again. You can't keep doing that.
I know, right? He
Like
used to watch me
drywall's
do it.
expensive.
He used to watch me do some of the kickboxing or whatever, and I'd say, "Do it with me." He goes, "No, I'm good."
He just didn't want. He just didn't want to get kicked.
Yeah, maybe, right? But I'm just saying, find the things that work for you. There are things that will work for you. If it may be gardening, it may be dancing.
Could
Find a
be
pleasure.
puzzles. It could be
Yeah,
crosswords.
yeah,
You can be addicted to Wordle. Guilty. You know.
yeah. Journal.
Yeah.
Find a hobby. Play games. It's about finding what brings you passion, pleasure, peace. Find your peace. Keep negative people out of your space for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And when someone new does come into your life, always evaluate, is this person going to be toxic to me and cause me even more?
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
and because that can just add to your anxiety. And if somebody doubts, like when you're saying I'm anxious about this or this is doing this, and somebody doubts you, that's usually somebody you really don't want to keep around.
Yeah. Or if they go, "Oh, you're being ridiculous," or "Why are you having anxiety?" Pull
Yeah.
up your big girl. Goodbye.
Yeah. I mean, if they say, okay, how can I help? And if you say, nothing, I just have to go through it, be honest with them. If there is nothing that the other person can do to help, just be honest. It's like, look, I'm going through this. Give me a few days to get through it, and I'll text you or call you or whatever means of communication you may have with the person, and I should be good.
Yeah,
And then I can talk to you about it later, because I found when people are actually going through it, the worst thing to do is saying, well, why are you going through it? What's
yeah,
actually the cause? Because sometimes they don't know.
yeah,
Sometimes people actually don't know what they're actually going through in the moment,
yeah.
so they
They
can't
don't know the
explain it to
trigger.
you. Yeah, and they won't be able to explain it to you. But if you are upfront and honest with the person, usually they can accept it. But if they doubt what you're if they doubt that you're going through an anxiety attack or an anxious moment, then how are they going to be for you when there is something more serious going
Oh,
on?
yeah, absolutely. And also, listen, people, people
People.
out there, don't harbor it and keep it inside your body. Worst thing that you can do when you're ready, speak about it, journal about it, reach out, get support, get help.
Hmm.
We're in a time and place in our life, in the world, that it is time to make it not a secret anymore. When you break an arm, you go to the doctor. When you have a disease, you go to the doctor, or you find out how to help yourself. This shouldn't be a big deal anymore. It shouldn't be a big deal.
No, it shouldn't. And my best friend for years would extol about the negative relationship that he had with his father, or has with his father. And I basically used to say, do you want my opinion or do you want to just vent? And he goes, I want to vent. Okay. And I'd be listening and listening. And this went on for years. And I'm a very patient person. And then finally he came to the realization, if I want to get through this, I need to go to a professional therapist. I said, yes, you do. Because there's nothing I can give you that'll help you deal with this. And he did. He went to a professional therapist. It took about a year of working through everything from childhood traumas up to young adulthood, and very different viewpoint now when dealing with the father relationship. And I rarely hear anything about it. I mean, I do know, like, sometimes they're still venting because, parents are parents, kids are kids, even adults,
Yeah,
but not nearly as much pain. That was the change. There was no pain, or as much pain as prior. So finding that therapist that you can have a rapport with and a trust with, and going through the sessions and taking it seriously for yourself, can do a world of wonders.
yeah,
Absolute world of wonders when you can see how successful it can actually be.
yeah. It's about getting all the pain out
Hmm.
so you can see things objectively and be able to go forward in your life without carrying all of that because it'll eat away at you.
Hmm. And it causes it can cause other situational anxieties
Yeah.
on you, like especially if you tell somebody that when they're younger that they're limited and these are the only things that they're good for, and they take that in and they honestly believe like they can't go beyond high school
Yeah.
or they can't do this, and breaking down and going through those barriers and achieving it opens a whole new world of doors for them.
Oh, yeah.
And that could be like trade schools. It doesn't have to be university. It could be trade schools, college, community college, items working with your hands and so forth. It just opens set of a whole new set of opportunities that you always believed you couldn't, when in actuality you could have been doing it all along and enjoying what you were doing.
Yeah. I'm happy that he did that. Yeah.
Oh, so am I, because it was you could hear the pain and you could hear the anger, and a lot of it, like, it's still there. I mean, there's no, you cannot get rid of 100% of the hurt and so forth, but it's not the intensity is completely different now than it was back then. Completely different.
Good. I think people don't realize that, the sins of the father and the sins of the mother and how that carries on through families and children and how
Hmm.
much therapy is needed sometimes.
Yeah, and how that also brings up all these, oh, I was always told I can't do this, and it basically brings on that type of anxiety that holds you in place, and
Yeah.
it doesn't let you go forward. So that's to come when, and I know I've said this before, when I'm around my nieces and really bad items happen, I have to remember that I have to set an example on how to handle it. Like when my wallet was stolen
Oh, yeah.
and my nieces were with me, and I'm like, they're like, well, Unc, are you worried? I said, yeah, I'm worried because, I have a lot of my ID in there. I'm also disappointed because, we have to end our day out because I have to get you guys home so I can go home and start getting, credit cards done and done and that done. And when now inside, I am screaming like a banshee, right? Cursing like a sailor just on leave off the boat. But in front of them, I'm like, yeah, because, I have to get, credit cards canceled. I have to get this. I have to be able to get access to my condo because of the parking. All of these things that were in my wallet, I now have to get done. Well, let's check the car one more time. And I'm like, okay, you have smaller hands, you go check. Meanwhile, I know that it's not there, but they feel good because they're helping me. It's like, okay, if you can't see it, no problem. Let's get you home, and get them home. And then I come home and I curse and I swear and I yell and I scream and I bang the desk and I'm like on hold. But in front of them,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I go, I'm mad, and I'm also anxious, and I'm also this. I said, but you know what? In a week or two, when I get everything worked out and start getting everything replaced, things will go back to normal, and then we'll go out again.
Yeah. You're such a good uncle.
No, but trust me, inside I was screaming like a banshee, and I was cursing like a sailor. But I had to be aware that if that's how they see me react to this type of stressful situation, then they're going to think, oh, that's how everybody reacts.
Good point. Yeah.
And it's like, no, I said, yes, it's a bad situation, but you know what? We'll get through it.
That's
We'll
very
get,
helpful.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get through it. And so my little niece comes up. I feel so bad for you. There's nothing I can do. Hey, do you want some of my money? And I'm like, I don't
Oh,
need. I'm like, no, I have money here at home. because I always keep, an extra 20 or 40 in cash for emergency purposes. But it's like, no, 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 I just have to get this other stuff done. So being part of a family, you got to kind of remember what's actually, especially with the younger folks, how you react and how you handle it also can cause them to, oh my God, this is going to be
Yeah.
like, if this happens to me, this is what'll happen. It's like, no, it's just, yeah, I just said, no, it's just very frustrating because of this. And then one said, you never know, they may mail it back to you. And sure enough, 4 weeks later, Canada Post had my wallet mailed back to me with, the money gone, which is only like $5, and all of my other cards and that in it.
Well,
They didn't even take my lotto ticket, or they may have taken it. It didn't win, but I mean, but they even mailed it back with the lotto ticket. So
that's
maybe, yeah, from a kid's mouth to God's ears, maybe it worked like that. I have no idea.
that's crazy.
Tell me about it. Only in Canada would I get my stolen wallet mailed back to me.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
But you're very good uncle, actually.
I try. I make a conscious effort, like on what I say and how I say it.
Yeah. In the beginning, I made a point of making telling them that it makes a big difference how you are in front of the kids. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
because even at 6 months old, kids are affected by anxiety and can get anxiety
Hmm.
as early as 6 months. Oh, I forgot to tell people too, you can go to an herb shop and get things like valerian root, which acts like Valium to a certain degree. Chamomile tea can help with anxiety. There are other roots, other herbs that can help with anxiety that you can look into. Um, Valerian root stinks to high heaven. So let me tell you,
Oh
you
Lord.
can, you can get the tea and it helps, but it does. It stinks to high heaven.
True, but I mean, if you start like even as a cup of like your nighttime routine to have a cup of tea with it, then it slowly you get accustomed to it, and it just becomes part of your part of your routine, and can also help keep those triggers at bay or lower them in their
Have you had the
intensity.
tea?
What type of tea are we talking about? Like,
Valerian
y-
root.
no, I've never tried that. I'd have to look it up.
Now, I've had the capsule before. I think I've had the valerian root mixed with other things in a tea, and it wasn't bad.
I'll have to take a look. I'll have to look it up and see if it's at local, if it's around here locally.
You can get it with other things in the sleepy time tea.
I'll have to look and see on what's on the ingredients
But yeah, go to your local herb shop and you can get things to help with anxiety
that are natural,
that are
and
natural,
your system won't become addicted
addictive.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go that route as well. But there are various different things that you can do that I would recommend even before I would go on a medication first. I'd go that route first.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But that's my PSA. And therapy, of course, therapy. To see what all your triggers are, unless it's situational and you know exactly what it is, like you're moving to a new house or
Yeah.
something like that.
But I mean, it never hurts if you're trying all these other recommended items, and if you're still not getting the desired results,
Yeah,
then seeking a professional that can give you other tools or other methods
yeah,
to deal with it. Not and it isn't necessarily always medication as the first one.
right.
Usually, depending on the therapist, it's usually like the method of last resort.
Yeah. He's not saying the therapist is,
Yes, depending on who
but
the therapist is and what's been going on.
and two, you may get a therapist that you don't match with,
Hmm.
that you just don't seem to resonate or jive with.
And it's
Find
okay
somebody
to
else.
switch. Yeah, it's okay to switch because I'm sure the therapist doesn't want to. I'm sure therapists want success stories,
Yes.
and there's no shame in saying, you know what, I'm not, I'm not comfortable, or I don't feel comfortable with you dealing in this manner.
Yeah.
Can you refer me to somebody else?
Yeah. Or you don't even have to tell the person that. You can just not go back and find somebody else.
Mm,
Easy peasy.
true. Yeah, because remember, it's your money that you're paying. Doesn't matter whether you have the coverage or copay or so forth. It's still money out of your pocket. And with any service, you want somebody that you can, work with and deliver. Same thing if you were hiring a personal trainer
Yes.
and you were there, off to get the weight off your belly or for whatever reason, and you don't get along with them or you don't have that type of rapport with them, you're not going to be motivated to succeed.
No. I mean, look, bottom line is whether it's a doctor, whether it's a therapist, anything, they work for you.
Hmm.
You don't work for them. So you have to go to somebody that best suits you, body, mind, and spirit, period.
Yep.
Period. So don't be intimidated. Don't get anxious. I mean, it goes for anybody that you go to. You have to
Hmm.
advocate for yourself.
Oh yeah. If you want to succeed, then you want somebody that's going to be able to help you to succeed.
You are so right. I love you, JC Bear, so
I
much.
try. Yes, trust me, I have dropped classes in university and transferred knowing that the instructor or the professor and their teaching methods and the way they delivered lectures wasn't getting through to me.
I know
And
it's
I'm
like
like, and I'm like, why am I paying grand to suffer?
I know I'd be like, I don't jive with you.
Hmm.
Drop ad.
Yeah, exactly. Before, and hopefully you get 100% back before the third class. But I mean, I think that's what some of the younger generation can also take into account, whether you're apprenticing with somebody and you don't have a rapport with them, you're not going to learn your craft, whether you're in college or university, and the instructor in that class and you are just not driving with the lessons and learning plans, then see if there's a same course with a different instructor that can actually help you to succeed in the course. Because not everybody's going to get along. And, the days of, well, you have to take it, and, well, there are some courses you have to take, but there are some instructors you can avoid.
Yeah.
and, and that's the thing. And it's the same thing with your medical professionals. You wouldn't go back to a mechanic that screwed up your car. So
No.
why would you go to a professional that you're not, a medical professional that you're not able to have a rapport with?
Yeah, just like I went to one GP and she was around my age, but she would talk to me like I was a 10-year-old. And
Oh my.
look, I know she was an MD, but I couldn't deal with it. I mean, I knew enough about medical stuff to be almost be dangerous, but when she would talk down to me like I was a kid and call me sweetie and girl and uh-uh.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, no.
beyond just being kind. It was talking down to me like I didn't understand things and I was educated. I was like, I can't. At first, I was like, oh, maybe I was being too sensitive. And I was real respectful to her. But after a while, it was just, I couldn't take it anymore. So I switched doctors.
Yeah, because you're not going to feel comfortable going back to her with any problems that may become more serious or so forth, or if
No,
you're in pain and stuff like that, because all it's going to be, well, sweetie, and it's like, what?
And she was the
What?
first doctor that I said, I feel like I might have MS. And she disregarded me.
Yeah, and usually you see, my doctor would have said, so what symptoms are you having? Okay, and then you start doing a process of elimination and see. It's like, okay, then come back in 6 weeks after we've eliminated this, this, and this,
Yeah.
and then okay, so here are the blood tests. Let's see what's going on. Whatever other tests that are necessary, and then take it from there. But when they dismiss you outright, that's when you're kind of like, I'm old enough to know when something's not working or something's not right. I'm not a teenager. I'm not, in my 20s doing wild parties or stuff like that. I know myself well enough by now, and there's been a few times where I've proven myself right, and I get taken a lot more serious now. Now,
I
mind
could
you, after over 2 decades with the same doctor, I just basically, say, "Yes, my queen, I will do that." And she goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard that for 20 years.
yeah.
Yes, I'm working on it." And the people in the office are like, "Oh," and I'm like, "I've been coming here for over half my life. Trust
Yeah.
me." She knows me. She knew my parents. She knows my sister. She knows my nieces. We've all been here. And she just laughs. She goes, "Go and get your blood work before the next visit." And
I
it's
could have
like,
I could have been diagnosed 9 years earlier had she taken me seriously.
oh wow,
Yeah. So,
wow,
mm-mm-mm.
yeah, that's a miss. When I am kind of surprised that it's a female doctor,
Yeah.
because usually in the past, male doctors would usually. I'm going back a few years. I don't know if it's still prevalent now. Would dismiss complaints from women as, oh, maybe you just had a bad day, and not take them seriously. So I am kind of surprised that a female doctor would have basically almost the same reaction as a male doctor.
Yeah, me too. Yep. So, that's the first female doctor I'd ever run into that was so it was just odd to me
Yeah,
talking down to someone that was very educated. And I'm not snooty in that way. It was just very odd. I didn't get it.
yeah, and it's the well, the talking down. Some doctors have way too high opinions of themselves,
Yeah.
and but it's the dismissing of the complaints that's kind of like, it's usually what older male doctors do with female patients.
Hmm.
That maybe you're just having the bad day type thing, as opposed to, no, this is something that's reoccurred every few weeks, and it's still occurring. And do you think it could be this, this, or this? Like, at least use basic blood work and basic items that could indicate something more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm just kind of like, because that's what happens with me when I go to my doctor, and I'm like, you know, this and this doesn't seem right. Well, have you gotten your eyes checked? Have you gotten this? Have you gotten that? And I usually have a whole bunch of to-do lists that
Mm.
I have to eliminate. And then if it's still occurring, then it's like, okay, the blood work isn't showing anything bad. Your eyes, the eyesight thing came back. Everything's clear. There's nothing there. Um, and then let's try something else. But it's only as a last resort, I have found with my doctor, medications prescribed as a last resort.
Yeah. It's a wacky, wacky world. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
one time I was like, I can't do you anymore.
Yeah, and luckily you were able to find another doctor that was available to take patients.
Yeah. Who I like.
Yeah, and that can become part of your family, a family doctor, as
Yeah.
opposed to uh, clinic clinical doctors, which you don't really are able to establish the same doctor. It's the same clinic if you go to one, because usually they're
Well,
changing.
now she's a
Well,
teaching doctor.
your current one or your previous one?
The one that I switched to was seeing me
Yeah.
all the time, but now she's a teaching doctor where
Oh
she
wow.
brings in all these doctors that, newbies that she teaches.
Oh wow.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I rarely get to see her anymore.
The only time I've ever had that happen to me was when I had knee surgery for a cartilage tear and an
Yeah.
ACL, and they had all the young surgical students there, and I'm like, okay, you see what he did to my knee and my leg? Yeah. Okay, you do it. They tried it. I said, nah, it didn't work. Try it again. And they
Ugh,
tried it again. And I'm like, no, it didn't work. You didn't move the knee in the same way in the leg to see it pop like that. And they're
how?
like, well, there was a certain way that he did it where you see how the cartilage was torn.
Hmm.
And so I made the student practice it until he got it right. He goes,
Ugh.
"Why are you being so accommodating?" I said, "Because it took me 3 months to see this surgeon. The better trained you are, and the better skilled you are, and the sooner you graduate, you can be helping more people like me, so I wouldn't have to wait 3 months." Oh, yeah, I'm doing this for efficiency, not because I like you touching me.
That had to be so painful.
It was weird the way that they did it, like the main surgeon. It wasn't. It was like, oh wow, my knee can actually move like that. Yeah, because you have a cartilage tear. Oh,
Mm-mm.
but that's the thing. It's like the better trained they are, and the more that you have, then there's more people that can get help. So, that's just my old story bringing in.
Well, on this note, I guess we better start wrapping up, and I
Yes.
greatly appreciate you coming on with me.
Oh, I love to have it. I just feel like we're having a coffee and we're just bantering about. But you do know that you should like, subscribe, and
Oh, yeah.
share. You always forget.
I know I always forget. Yes, please. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. I try to make it more transparent about mental health and that it isn't a taboo thing. It's just
Oh
like
God,
any
no.
form of health that we deal with. And we talk about spiritual things. Look, YouTube wants me to say this. I am a trained psychotherapist. We don't do that here. But we do talk about psychology, spirituality, pop culture, social commentary, and so
Food
many more things, and food.
and food.
And we are a community where your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah,
There is
and it's a pleasant hour and a half fun.
no hate zone. And by the way, I want to have a name that tune here sometime
Ooh,
where we have people here and we just make a game of it, do some giveaways, and just come up with some songs where we actually do the game show. We can hum it or do whatever where people try to figure it out.
that would be interesting. Hmm. You'd have to give the genre though.
Yeah. Where you might go dun 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 dun
Oh
dun.
my God. Now I got the tune in my head, but I don't know the name of it.
But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It might be fun.
Oh yeah, it can be. We
And
just have to.
YouTube can't get us for humming the tune, right?
No, that's true. As long as we hum the tune correctly, we have to hum it correctly. Sometimes people think they're humming a song that it isn't the song that they're thinking of.
Right, but it still could be funny.
Yes, that's true. But I am going to get myself ready for my own downturn and getting ready to hit the bed. So I
Okay.
have my evening routine. Always a pleasure. Big
Thank
bear
you
hugs
so
and a
well.
kiss. Mwah. See you guys out there. And don't forget, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. If you're in the bushes, leave a comment, and we'll
Okay.
all be good.
Much love. Thank you, Jessie Bear.
Ciao.
Bye. And I hope this helped everyone to know how to navigate your anxiety. Please, those watching after the fact, leave your comments, your feedback, your thoughts below. I will always reply to you. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for coming around. I know there will be people in the replay gang. Remember, your vibe attracts your tribe. Never be afraid or scared to talk about what bothers you, especially anxiety. We all have had to deal with it from one time or another. But yeah, let me know if you've had to deal with it, if it's a problem for you, if you need advice. But yeah, this is what we all have to deal with from time to time. I love you. I appreciate you so, so much. Thank you for supporting this community, for being a part of this community. And on that note, I hope it's helped you. Let me know if there's other things that have helped you with anxiety. Let us know. Share it with us. And everybody, take care of yourself. Give yourself some love and grace. Give yourself some self-care. Oh, yeah. Get a massage. Do something fun. And take care of you. Love you all. And I'll see you on Saturday night. If you'd like to donate to the coffee fund, you can do so at miracles3@charter.net, at PayPal, or you can do so at Dear Dana 1111 on Cash App. But the fact that you even show up and become a part of this community and support us is enough. And it's appreciated. And I love you. Talk to you later. Mwah! And here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Let me find the song. Bum. There we go. Bye, everybody.
Low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go,